Hello, welcome to Change is Good, and looky what we got here. Another box of $half. This is box number 3 from an order I got last week that has had a lot of silver in it, so I'm hoping it continues. Let's see what we got inside. Nothing on top that I can tell. But that's how the last 2 boxes were. Let's break open the rolls. We're on roll number 3, and we have our first find. It's a 2016 Philadelphia NIFC, mintage of 2.1 million. Let's get back to the box. We're on roll number 7, and I think I have a find. Under the scope, I have a 1971 Denver. Now this thing is beyond disgusting. Look at the condition of this coin. It is grotesque at best, but I think it's a double die. Check out the shape of the eye. See the extra thickness down here at the bottom and how wide it is? Now I bet there's a notch right there on the upper right. It's filled in with corrosion and who knows what else. Also, the one there looks a little bit wide. That's wider than normal. If I go over here, look how wide the bottom of the R is and how wide the leg is there. Look at the top of the U. There's some defined notches up there, just hard to see. And the top of the T is really, really tall as well compared to what it usually is. And if you go up here to the T and Liberty, it's wider than normal, with some extra splitting over here on the left and some much more extra width on the right. The E I can't see for sure, but I think there might be a notch in it right there. I'm going to try to clean this thing up a little bit. I'll soak it for a little while and see if I can get some more defined characteristics out of it, but I think it's a variety. Now, let's get back to the box, and I'll follow up with this after I give it a little bit of cleaning up time. We're on roll number 16, and we have another NIFC. It's a 2004 Denver with a 2.9 million mintage. Let's keep going. Same roll about 2 coins later. We have another NIFC. This time it's a 2003 Denver. This one has a mintage of about 2.5 million. All right, let's get back to that. We're on roll number 20, and we have another NIFC. This time it's a 2011 Philadelphia. Mintage of 1.75 million. Almost half I know of the box. Still no varieties for sure yet. No silver. Let's hope it gets better. We're on roll number 21. And yes, another NIFC. This time it's a 2002 Denver. These have a mintage of 2.5 million. Not bad. Let's get back to the box. Okay, we're on roll number 22. And this time we do have a variety. Under the scope, I've got a 1971 Denver. If you look at the letter I, notice it's a little bit thicker and a little bit extra splitting up here on the upper left and some bulging at the bottom. Plus the word God is also pretty thick, and there's a little bit of a notch right there in the bottom of the end, right there on the left. If you go over here, you'll see extra thickness in the R toward the bottom, split serifs at the top of the U, more thickness in the other letters. And the letter T is also extra wide with split serifs on the right and left. And a nice little notch right there in the E going that direction. This has been a variety I've been finding a lot lately. This is double die number 13 on varietyvista.com. Now, a lot of people, when they find a variety on a 71D, they automatically assume it's the double die number 4 or the FS 101. In my experience, about 75 to 80% of the time, they're incorrect. These varieties are very, very, very similar, but they're not usually the FS 101. And if you're not sure which one it is, always check out the letter I in the word N and look at the shape of it, how it's split, how it's notched. That's always a dead giveaway. On the FS 101, it'll be like a normal looking I with no extra serifs or thickness to it. It's going to be normal. Most of the doubling on that FS101 will be on here on these letters here. So be careful when you when you look at these, there's a lot of confusion, especially on other YouTube channels. They get these wrong a lot. So the danger with that is if you submit these coins as FS101s to PCGS, they're going to send it back to you as a double dot obverse. You're not going to get the right variety attribution. So be careful when you look at these. Check out Variety Vista for more references. It's really good to know the differences once you get used to them. We're on roll number 25, and we have another variety on the scope. This is another 1971 Denver. At first glance, it looks like a normal die. When you get over here, I think most corner hunters would just pass this up as nothing. But what this is, it's a late stage double die number 7 on Variety Vista. If you notice, the top of the U is a lot taller than it's supposed to be, and the bottom of the R has some extra thickness. Plus the top of the last T is also a little bit thicker at the top than it's supposed to be. And if you come over here to the T on Liberty, there's some extra splitting on the left that shouldn't be there, and some extra thickness on the right that shouldn't be there, plus the letter itself is thicker than normal. And if you go over here to the E, you can see a very faint but visible split in the usual place, right there. And the way you know it's double die number 7, the letter I is almost exactly like it would normally look. And the splitting on this side is very, very faint. There are very faint splits here at the bottom of the R and the top of the U. This one has very faint splitting. If you go over to the website, you can see what I'm talking about. This is what the die looks like in an earlier state. But a normal looking eye, maybe a little bit thicker than normal, but not much. And faint splitting on all the letters in trust. That's what we got here. All right, let's get back to the box. We're on roll number 31, and we have another variety. Under the scope, I have a 1971 Philadelphia. This is the reverse, and you'll see just how thick the lettering is and the word states here. And if you look closely, you can see a nice big notch right here in the bottom serif on the S. Kind of see it right there. On this one, you can see another notch in the bottom of this S. Nice big split right there. And you'll also see little notches along the bottom right of all the letters in America. You can see a pretty good sized notch right there in the R. This is DDR number 1 on Variety Vista. It's pretty common. I've found quite a few of these recently. I think at least 2 or 3 in the last week. It's a pretty cool variety to find. If you look at varietyvista.com, it'll give you some more pictures to look at. We're now on roll number 37, and we have another variety under the scope. We have a 1972 Denver, the reverse. And the letters here in States are a little bit thicker than they're supposed to be. Unfortunately, the serif on this S here has been damaged. I can't even see it. But on the other S, it's a little bit more rounded than it's supposed to be. A little thicker in this area, rounded, more rounded than normal. And if you go over to the letters in America, I'm going to get it close and show you what I'll look at. If you look here on the E, just the right angle, you can see some notching in all 3 corners right here. There's a notch right there, and right there. There's also one in here, but it's kind of hard to see it. And some more here on the bottom of the M and the A. This is DDR number 2 on Variety Vista. It's the harder one to see, but it's a no-doubter. All right, we're now on roll number 43, and we have another NIFC. 2019 Philadelphia, a mintage of 1.7 million. Let's get back to the hunt. Roll number 45, and we have another variety. This time it's a 1974. This one has a pretty serious ring of death on it, all the way around the coin. But if you look at the words "in God," you'll see how thick they are. Look at the 1 and the 9 and the date. It's extra wide with splitting on the left-hand side. And over here in trust, you can see how it's doubled. You can even see this big notch in the 4 here. There's some pretty excessive doubling here in the word trust especially. It's kind of hard to see it because of the damage but it's there. You see a little notch in the upper left of the R. That's another sign that it's a variety. And there's a big split right here. It's hard to see it. It's because the damage is too severe on this one. But we're on roll number 46, and we have another variety. Under the scope, I have a 1971 Denver. Now, if you'll notice the shape of the eye, the bottom is supposed to be straight across. This one has a big bulge coming down. And the upper left also has some splitting there, an extra notch. The top right has a big, deep notch in this, going at a diagonal direction. The bottom of the end has a little notch right there. The word God is extra thick. The 1 and the 9 and the date are also extra thick. If you come over here to the word trust, you'll see the R, especially the bottom, is extra thick. There's actually some splitting in here at the bottom, but it's faint on this variety. The top of the U has some splits as well. If you go up here to the T, you'll see how the T's thicker than normal. There's extra thickness here on the left and some excessive thickness here on the right. And if you're not really sure by that point, look at the E. See that notch right there on the serif? Right there. That's always a sign you have a double die. This is DDO number 8 on Variety Vista. It's one of my favorite varieties to find. We're on roll number 47. I believe I have a die clash here. We have a 1971 Denver under the scope. If you look right up to the upper right of the eye, you'll see those spots. I believe that those are clash marks from the reverse die. They tried to polish them out, but they missed a bunch. They're actually naked eye visible. Kind of cool. I think I found one like this recently, virtually identical to it. There we go. You can see that clashing there. Right there by the eye. Pretty obvious. Pretty cool find. All right, off to the next roll. Well, the box is done, but we're not quite finished yet. Remember this coin from earlier? I soaked it in rubbing alcohol while I finished the box. I got a lot of the corrosion off of it, so let's put it in a scope and see what we got. Just for fun. Oh yeah. Look at the letter I. Notice how it's not flat at the bottom. There's a bulge coming out toward the left side. You can see just enough. There's other splitting here at the top left. There's a big notch in the upper right, notch in the end at the bottom. The word God is extra thick. The letters are. The 1 is extra thick. The 9's wider than it's supposed to be. Come over here. You'll see extra width here at the bottom of the serifs and the R. Top of the U has also got some splitting in it. The top of the T is too tall compared to what it usually is. The T in Liberty is also too wide. Extra thickness here on the right. The left's hard to tell, but the extra thickness on the right for sure. And I don't really see a notch in the E, but there's too much corrosion in there. If this looks familiar, it's also a DDO number 8 on Variety Vista. Same exact die. Just corroded beyond belief. With this one, I believe we have 7 varieties for the box. Overall, it wasn't a bad box. We did lose our silver streak, but we did so well in the last 2 boxes, I'm not going to complain. We did find 6 NIFCs in 02, 03, and 04 Denver. We also found a 2011, 16, and 19 Philadelphia. We found 7 varieties, which is pretty good for a box. A 1972 Philadelphia DDR, number 1. 1971D, DDO number 7. 2 1971D DDO number 8s, one of which extra toasty. A 71D DDO number 13, which I've found, I think, in every box lately. A 72D DDR number 2. A 74D FS101 with a pretty bad ring of death on it. And then another 1971D with a little bit of die clash in front of the nose. Overall, not a bad box. I'll take it. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, please like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next hunt.